Deep in the heart of Las Vegas, rising above the Strip like something dropped from another planet, sits a glowing ball of light so massive it can be seen from space. It cost $2.3 billion to build. That number is not a typo. For context, that is more than what many nations spend building hospitals, bridges, and schools combined. It took nearly 4 years just to engineer the technology inside. And when it finally opened its doors in September 2023, the world held its breath. This was supposed to change everything. Live entertainment would never be the same again. But here is what nobody talks about. Building the most advanced venue ever conceived by human hands and actually making money from it are two entirely different challenges. And the Las Vegas sphere is learning that lesson the hard way. $100 million at a time. So what exactly went wrong? And can anything save it? Stay with me as we break down the full story with TerraFactor. To truly understand the scale of this situation, you first need to picture what MSG Entertainment actually built out there in the Nevada desert. The sphere stands 366 feet tall. Its exterior is covered in 580,000 square feet of curved LED panels, every single one glowing with custom visuals that can be seen for miles. Inside, it holds 18,600 people. The screen does not sit in front of you like a cinema. It wraps above you, beside you, and behind you in a full dome of visuals that pulls you into a world the human eye has simply never experienced before. And the audio system pushing sound through 167,000 individual speakers creates something engineers call beamforming, where sound is aimed so precisely at each seat that it feels like wearing headphones without touching your ears. The technology inside that building is genuinely unlike anything constructed before it. Nobody disputes that. What they dispute is whether any of it was worth the price tag, and whether anyone actually thought through how the money would come back. Let us go back to where this all began. When MSG Entertainment first presented the concept in 2018, the projected construction budget was $1.2 billion. That is already a staggering figure. But by 2019, that estimate had grown to $1.7 billion. By 2022, it had climbed again to $2.15 billion. And when the final construction bill arrived, the number sat at $2.3 billion. That is a cost overrun of 91%, nearly double the original projection. And here is the critical detail most people miss. MSG did not discover these spiraling costs before they broke ground. They discovered them while the building was already going up. So what did they do? They began pulling money from their other businesses. Revenue generated by Radio City Music Hall, by the Madison Square Garden Arena itself, by other entertainment properties they owned. All of it was redirected to keep the Sphere project alive. They were essentially robbing one pocket to fill another. And that meant the Sphere needed to become profitable fast. Not eventually. Fast. The reason costs exploded comes down to one simple geometric reality. A sphere has no flat surfaces, no right angles, no repeating components. Traditional construction is built around predictability. You pour concrete, you raise steel beams, you bolt things together along straight lines. None of that applies here. Every LED panel on the exterior has a unique curve. Standard cranes could not reach the angles required. Standard scaffolding could not hold the shape of the structure. MSG had to design and engineer entirely new mounting systems, and those systems could not even be built until portions of the structure were already standing. Inside, positioning 167,000 speakers with the millimeter precision needed for the audio system to function correctly is not a task that fits inside any existing construction playbook. It had never been done before at this scale, and when you are doing something for the very first time, the cost of figuring it out falls entirely on you. If you are finding this breakdown valuable, now is a great time to subscribe to TerraFactor so you never miss a story like this one. We cover the biggest engineering projects, economic puzzles, and infrastructure decisions shaping the modern world. Hit that subscribe button and let us keep going. Now, the business model. MSG planned the Sphere around two main content pillars: major concert residencies where artists would move in for weeks at a time, and immersive films created specifically for the dome format and screened daily. On paper, both made sense. In practice, the concert side of the equation turned into a financial trap almost immediately. The Sphere launched with U2 as its headline partner. 40 sold-out shows. Enormous. Media coverage. The buzz was real. But when you look at the actual revenue split, the picture darkens considerably. Those 40 shows generated around $244 million in total gross revenue. The Sphere itself kept approximately $24 million. Reports indicate the split ran roughly 90% to the artist and 10% to the venue. And that deal did not just affect U2. It set a precedent. Every major act that followed understood the dynamic. This is the most advanced stage ever built. That gives the artist enormous negotiating power. Why settle for a standard split when you can demand the majority? A typical show at the Sphere might gross $3.5 million. At that ratio, the venue walks away with $350,000. Run that math across an entire year of concerts, and it becomes clear very quickly that concerts, the very thing the Sphere was architecturally designed to host, are not profitable enough to sustain the building. And then came the design problem that nobody anticipated until people were actually sitting in the seats. Approximately 800 premium seats inside the Sphere have obstructed views of the screen. The upper decks, positioned to fit as many people as possible inside the dome, hang low enough to physically block the top of the screen for audience members sitting below them. These were not cheap seats. Some of these packages were sold for between $2,600 and $4,200, and customers were not informed of the obstruction before purchasing. The backlash was immediate. Legal threats followed. The Sphere responded by quietly offering refunds and seat relocations, which in practical terms meant acknowledging that the product had failed to deliver what was promised. Think carefully about what that means for a venue whose entire identity is built on the promise of total visual immersion. If your pitch to the world is that nothing else compares, and then a paying customer sits down in a $4,000 seat and cannot see the top of the screen, the promise collapses entirely. There was also the problem of motion sickness. The steep viewing angles combined with fast-moving visuals triggered genuine physical discomfort in a meaningful portion of the audience. People were leaving shows early. Some reported symptoms lasting hours afterward. This is not a minor inconvenience. When your product causes people to feel ill, that is a fundamental design issue. So where does the content gap fit into all of this? Every single show presented inside the Sphere requires months of specialized production. You cannot take footage shot for a standard concert film and simply project it inside the dome. The geometry does not work. The format does not translate. Artists need dedicated teams, spending 4 to 6 months building visual content specifically engineered for a spherical screen running at 16,000 by 6,000. Pixel resolution across an irregular curved surface. That production timeline means the Sphere cannot book shows on short notice. When a scheduled act falls through or a tour changes dates, there is no quick replacement ready to fill the gap. In 2024, the venue managed approximately 70 concerts for the full year. The goal heading into 2025 was to push past 100. But 100 concerts still leaves 265 nights without a show. And on those empty nights, the building does not stop costing money. Now here is where the financial picture becomes genuinely alarming. MSG has published quarterly reports showing what they describe as adjusted operating income. And looking at those figures alone, the Sphere appears to be turning a corner. In early 2025, the adjusted numbers showed profits of $13 million, then nearly $25 million the following quarter. Progress, recovery, a turnaround story. except those adjusted figures deliberately exclude certain costs, employee equity compensation, depreciation on the building itself, and the servicing of the enormous debt taken on to construct it. When you include all of those real expenses, the numbers tell a completely different story. In the first quarter of 2025, the actual loss was $93 million. The following quarter, another $83 million gone. Quarter after quarter, losses of $80 to $95 million. Since the Sphere opened its doors, total losses have surpassed $570 million. The building is extraordinary. The finances are not. And yet there is a genuine turning point happening. Just not the one MSG originally imagined: films. The pivot toward custom immersive films has produced the one undeniable success story in the Sphere's short history. A version of The Wizard of Oz was produced specifically for the dome format and released as a ticketed experience. By early 2026, it had sold over 2 million tickets and generated more than $260 million in revenue, every dollar of which flows directly back to the Sphere. No artist taking 90%, no revenue split, no negotiation. Just a film running continuously, filling seats, and generating high-margin income. Compare that to 40 sold-out U2 concerts generating $24 million for the venue. One film, running on a loop, outperformed the entire launch residency by more than 10 times. That comparison alone explains why the strategy has shifted so dramatically. By late 2025, the Wizard of Oz experience was generating roughly $2 million per day. Analysts now project the Sphere crossing $500 million in gross profit in 2026, with full profitability, including depreciation, potentially arriving around 2027. But those projections carry significant conditions. They require sustained audience demand at that level every single quarter. They require better revenue arrangements with future concert artists than the deal that launched the venue, and they require the production pipeline for new films to remain consistent without gaps. One underperforming release, one quarter of weak bookings, and the losses resume. What makes this story so much larger than one building in Las Vegas is what it reveals about the limits of technological ambition. The Sphere proved that you can engineer something truly unlike anything that existed before. The screen works, the audio works, the immersion works. What did not work was the business architecture surrounding all of it. There was no fallback revenue, no casino underneath, no hotel attached, no convention business to fill the slow weeks, just tickets and advertising and the hope that the spectacle would be enough. And now, while the original Sphere is still recording losses every quarter, MSG has announced a second full-scale Sphere in Abu Dhabi and a smaller 6,000-seat version planned for Maryland. Both projects moving forward before the first building has proven it can sustain itself financially. That is either extraordinary confidence or a very expensive gamble. The question the Sphere leaves the world with is simple and important. Is breathtaking engineering enough if the economics were never fully worked out? Can spectacle and financial sustainability actually coexist in the same building? The answer is still being written, one quarter at a time, one film release at a time. And the whole world is watching to see which version of this story gets the final word. If you want to keep exploring the world's most ambitious and complicated mega projects with TerraFactor, subscribe now so you do not miss what comes next. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the Sphere can fully turn this around, or has the financial damage already gone too deep? Thank you for watching.